Well then, it's time for yet another weekly Kill or Keep. The new installment of mine that I debuted last Sunday. And the purpose of it simply is to discuss a new weekly subject each week on whether the wrestling world, be it TNA, WWE, Ring of Honor, or maybe some other promotion, some phenomenon from any of these promotions in the wrestling world, whether, well, should we keep it or kill it? Last week's subject was the ECW brand. If you have not seen that, I recommend you to go there and share your opinion on whether WWE should kill or keep the ECW brand. A lot of interesting remarks and opinions are in that video. So this week's subject, as you can see in the title, is a very hot potato right now that a lot of people like to share their opinions on, and that's the Raw special guest hosts. There's a lot of opinions out there, very emotional opinions, somewhat at times irrational opinions, people simply having an opinion without basing it on something. That's what we're supposed to do here in this video. Should WWE kill the special guest host? There are imminent rumors right now with Bret Hart coming in as a special and permanent general manager for a short-term notice till WrestleMania, or should they simply, well, keep it? There are arguments for both these opinions, of course. They could kill it off simply because we have seen a lot of not so very good special guest hosts, and I think we can all agree that hearing things from Jeremy Piven such as Summerfest, and week after week hearing Kofi Kingston's name pronounced in very different ways. Kyle Busch, Joe Logano, the NASCAR drivers, call him Kofi Johnson. And I think it was Ozzy Osbourne that called Kofi Kingston Kobe Kingston. And of course that takes away from the product, because it kind of reveals that the guys being the guest hosts at time really doesn't know anything about wrestling. They are into wrestling, and they're doing a job, getting a paper in their hand, being told, now you go out and say this and this. However, on the contrary, we've seen some very good special guest hosts, and we're not gonna count the wrestlers such as Dusty Rhodes, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Ventura, Million Dollar Man, among others, whom of course have most of the times done a very good job because they are from the business. But if you talk outside, special guest hosts coming in from the outside of the wrestling world, such as Bob Barker did a fantastic job. He was crowned the special guest host of the year. Shaquille O'Neal's appearance on Raw as a guest host sent shockwaves throughout the world. It was a very impressive appearance by him, and it got a lot of exposure, a lot of coverage. Even here in Sweden, the sports pages actually covered wrestling due to Shaquille O'Neal being in the WWE ring, getting tackled, getting into an argument, tackling the Big Show. So that's a positive, of course. And we had Mark Cuban did a fantastic job as a special guest host. Ozzy Osbourne, I mean, the opening of the Raw show when the Osbournes were there, it was amazing. It had a big time feel too, and it gave me goosebumps. So there have been some pretty good special guest hosts as well. Freddie Prinze Jr., of course, he is somewhat into the business because he's been a writer for the WWE in the past. Still, of course, Vern Troyer, could have spared him, but I think that's also the charm of having the guest host. You never really know if they're going to deliver. You can have someone thinking, well, he's going to be awesome, like Ricky Hatton. I thought he's going to be awesome. Wasn't that good. It wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't that good. And then you had someone, Bob Barker. Well, he's going to do a terrible job. I mean, he's old, he probably will die, people said. He did a great job, and as I said, he was crowned the special guest host of the year. So it's very hard to determine beforehand, via preconception, on whether it's going to be good or bad. And also what it gives is, as I said, a lot of coverage. A lot of media outlets are going to cover it, especially if the celebrities are already hot potato, because most of the celebrities appearing on Raw have some kind of project going on that they launch when being on the WWE Raw show. Could be books, could be shows, could be series, could be some other project, which means that they will also show up on Letterman, late night shows, radio shows, and what they will do there is, well, they will mention that they actually were on Raw the other night as well, which gives Raw a lot of coverage. So, as I said, wrestling, American wrestling being covered in Sweden in the sports pages never happens, but it did happen thanks to Shaq. And that's a good part of it, and that's WWE becoming more mainstream, reaching out to more people, seeming more and more trendy, simply because you have ESPN radio, you have, as I said, late night shows, the newspapers all over the world has started to more and more cover wrestling due to the special guest host, and I think that was the entire purpose from the beginning. And as I said, I mean, it's a talk of the town really. Every week you're going to talk, okay, it's going to be next week, hey, it's this guy, it's going to suck. Well, even if people says it's going to suck, they're still talking about it. You can't say WWE Monday Night Raw sucks without saying WWE Monday Night Raw. And as they say, any kind of coverage, any kind of exposure is good exposure, because that means people are talking about you, people are seeing your product. So, as I said, yeah, I mean, if I could choose between special guest hosts or Bret Hart as a GM, well, of course I would choose Bret Hart as a GM because I'm a huge fan of Bret Hart. Still, if we in this consideration say that Bret Hart will not be the special GM, we can take him out of the consideration. Bret Hart let's just pretend Bret Hart will not be the special GM when he arrives. That's not why he signed a contract. What do you think then? Should WWE kill or keep the special guest hosts on Raw? And please motivate why you think, not say, oh, it's because it sucks. Because why does it suck? Everything with the special guest hosts haven't sucked. Everything hasn't been good. We had guest hosts, like I said, Troyer, Sharpton, Floyd Money Mayweather, who didn't do that much of an impression on the show. Still, just because they didn't make an impression doesn't mean that's a reason in itself for cancelling it, because still it gives this coverage. There are wrestlers in the WWE that doesn't do that much of an impression either, but still they are needed. So, what's your opinion? Feel free to motivate, and also check out the other Kill or Keep segment debating the existence of ECW, the ECW brand on Tuesdays. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.